Hey guys, shot some footage of Joey Severance for Velocity Quest, but the interview didn't turn out very well. I mean, it was a good interview, but the video quality just sucks. This camera that I have is a giant POS, but it works, and I'm thankful for having it. I did get some good interview of him in his shop talking about his car, and so cut together a little video for you. Not quite as edited and put together as some of the other episodes, but just as informative, and he talks about being on two wheels at over 100 miles an hour in his drag car, so pretty interesting. So here you go, enjoy. So what do we got here, man?
Well, I guess starting from the front, the fuel tank's actually clear up front.
Oh?
Ballast reasons, keep it from wheel standing.
How much fuel you guys getting in there?
I think there's probably about 6 gallons.
6 gallons
total. So.
And so does it use all that up?
It'll use about 4.5 to 5 gallons per run. That's including the burnout and back.
Yeah.
And all
Wow.
that, so.
That's cool, man.
So you can actually put lead or steel. I use steel ballast, but
okay.
it slides in this tube right here, and you just bolt it in. But so the weight's as far forward as we can possibly get. Just weight transfer reasons.
Wow.
It's pretty basic up front. There's not much tubing in it.
Yeah.
Tried to build it as
So why the hell are these cars so long?
Just leverage.
Oh.
Just you can get the weight out forward. You can get just the weight transfer, getting weight to the rear.
So would it have anything to do with,
over
you know, if I have a foot extra on the front of my car? I could get there first.
Well, there are rules on length. You can be a certain distance from the center line of the front tires to the nose.
Oh, okay.
So there are actually rules that you can't be. I mean,
a certain.
Yeah, because if you had the nose overhang a quarter mile long, you'd beat the finish line.
Now that would that would be pretty sweet. Yeah, it's the 1 second mile, and I was only doing about 5 miles an hour, but
it was quick. We have a timer system up here that runs our fuel system and our timing. We can control. We can control that with this box. Just you can punch in a time and then where you want fuel valves to open and close, or timing to come in and out of them.
Wow, that's cool.
This actually records. We can record. We cannot control anything with electronics, but we can record all the cylinder temperatures, drive shaft RPM, engine RPM, blower boost. And it helps.
So that's like a data logger type of deal.
Exactly. Yeah, we just downloaded after each one. Actually, there's a switch in here that I turn on just before I pull into stage. It records everything. So
wow.
There's a G meter, so you can kind of.
Sweet. And so basically, there's just like what, a weight or something in there, and it kind of.
You know, I'm not in the G meter part.
Yeah, have you ever been into one of those?
Well, I had it apart to bolt the thing on there, but it's nothing I really understand.
Yeah. Huh. So that's pretty much it as far as the electronics in the car.
Yeah, other than a tack, and which I hardly ever use. Just a stage. I'll leave between 6,000 and 7,000 RPM, leaving the starting line, and then shift at about 10,000 RPM.
Wow.
Maybe a little bit higher.
That's awesome.
It's got a 3-speed transmission in it. You use the clutch for staging, and when you let the clutch out and hit the throttle, then it shifts. You don't have to use the clutch to shift. You just push the buttons in.
Okay.
So it's a clutchless transmission. It's a 3-speed B&J transmission.
And so is that air actuated or something? Oh, okay.
Yep, we have an air bottle behind the driver's seat there, just a little air bottle. But this is the parachute. Let's see, this is the fuel shutoff. I'm on the wrong side here. So the fuel shutoff turns the fuel on and off. This is a reverse lever. So you go into reverse. The brake handle is actually right here. It's a hand brake, so then you got your pedal and your clutch, and then these are the parachute. They're actually controlled. If you see the air cylinders on them, NHRA mandated a rule that they'll turn or flip the parachutes and turn the fuel off and turn off your ignition just after you cross the finish line. In case something happens to the driver, they pass out, or something happens where they lose control, it actually shuts everything off for you
to keep it. Yeah. Kind of like the monster trucks have that type of deal in there. Wow. So you're really shimmying in there.
Yeah, it's pretty snug.
But you probably want it to be.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like
you don't move around much with the head pads in here. There's not much room to move around, which is good.
Yeah.
If you ever do get in a wreck, or I'd imagine. I haven't been in one yet, close, but hasn't happened.
And some nice welds, man.
Yeah, Brad Hadman builds a good car. My dad works for him. And actually puts most of them together or close to it. You know.
And so how long can you run a chassis?
There's no real...
I mean, do they have a life on them?
They check them every year. They have a sonic tester that actually tests the thickness of the tubing, and just as long as they pass the certification every year, that they're good to go. The inspectors look them over every race, you know, just to make sure it's safety-wise. But
yeah.
They actually will, I don't say wear out, but the tubing changes just from flexing so much.
Oh.
These cars, if you ever notice on a run, they bow up in the middle. All the tubing really works. I mean, it's good. The fresh pipe seems to work a little bit better for some reason. I don't know if it's mental or what, but it just seems like a new car always. I know they're different. You can build two cars identical on the jig and they'll act a little bit different on the racetrack. Really? Just the way they're welded or the tubing or something. You know? So the pros will front half. They'll actually cut the cars off at this seam right here and redo the front halves on and then put the body back on them. But they'll put new tubing in them maybe twice a year. You know, just to freshen up the front half, just so they react.
I wonder if it's just newer metal or newer steel flexes better.
They fatigue and they get too flexy, I think.
Oh.
So then the car bows up
too much.
When it leaves the starting line, if it bows up too easy, then it's going to snap the front end up in the air. So if it's stiffer,
I see what you're saying.
If it's stiffer, the weight's out there. It's like trying to pick up a fishing pole with the weight on the end. If you have a real stiff fishing pole, it's harder to. But if you have a real flimsy one, you can actually lift it up that high before the weight even comes off the ground, so you can get a run at it.
Yeah.
So I think that's the way they...
And so it's a weight transfer deal.
Exactly.
And so you'd have to dial in either you got to be right in that, or else the car will not hook, maybe, right?
Correct.
Or it's just going to...
Wheel stand,
Which is cool, but not necessarily the point.
To steer. They're supposed to go straight, but that don't always happen.
So wait, you don't have turning brakes on it?
No, it's I don't have that rear end. I just changed rear ends. I just put new gears in that one and put it in the car. I got the other one sitting up on the bench down there.
Oh.
I could have showed you the axle and stuff. But it's just a solid, the axle goes all the way through. You can see the axle from the end, how big around it is. It's like a 40 spline. That's actually the axle right here. It's got a nut on it. It's threaded on the end. So, yeah, the axle goes all the way through and through the spool. It's got a spool in it.
Whoa, so that axle is one piece.
Yes. Yeah, both tires turn exactly the same. So they don't steer very well.
Yeah, yeah.
They try to push you straight. It's kind of like riding a snowmobile when you got ice picks on it. They want to go straight all the time just because they're... It'd be hard to put steer brakes in it.
Yeah, I don't know.
Carbon fiber brakes. Carbon fiber brakes seem to work a lot better than steel. Actually, the hotter they get, the better they work. As opposed to steel brakes, the hotter they get, the worse they work.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
But these things are a couple $1,000 to replace the rotors in them. So.
Yeah, they're not cheap. They're not cheap. And so, I mean, how much are you actually on the brake? So when you're at the end of the run,
brakes just because they're expensive, but you pull the parachutes and that most tracks.
And so the brakes are for staging and things like that.
Okay. Stop at the end of the burnout stage. I mean, you use them obviously at the end of the track, depending on, you know, if you pull one chute or two parachutes, you know, and then the length of the track and wind conditions, everything kind of takes effect.
Wow.
So yeah, you don't use them. Some of the top fuel cars and A fuel cars would use, if they go out there and kind of shake the tires a little bit, they could tug on the brake and slow the wheel speed down a little bit and maybe help save a run, but we don't usually with the alcohol car. I'm not smart enough to figure it out. So.
And so that will help stop tire shakes so that you can get back on it.
Yeah. So.
But you have to slow down as the...
Yeah.
Which would, I think
but
that would
in
be...
eliminations, if it saves a run, there's a chance of you winning, so.
Yeah. So,
I guess we can go to the front of the motor. The fuel pump's actually mechanical driven.
Oh?
And I don't see it on the car right now, so. The fuel pump actually bolts right here.
Okay.
It runs off of the camshaft.
Okay.
So, and then your fuel line comes up, and then you come up to the injector.
I'll be able to splice in some of the stuff I got.
Yeah, we can show you, but this is actually all new. At the end of last year, we switched over to this this motor. It's actually from Jim Whiteley. And he won the championship the last couple of years. He was retiring, or he wasn't going to drive his car this year and wanted to keep his engine program going, so he actually is supplying the motors for us this year.
So is that common with a lot of racers, that they have businesses based in racing?
Well, his business is actually, not in drag. He's got a lot of race cars, but he just, there are a lot of guys in the business, you know, that build parts and make make a living at it, but I think most of the people in our class just have businesses on the their own businesses.
Felt like you could work at Burger King, right?
Yeah, probably not.
I made it to manager, so I'm getting a new supercharger.
One of the worst parts anymore is just the travel. The motels.
Oh, yeah.
We actually stay in our truck and trailer. We got a truck and trailer big enough to sleep in and stuff, but diesel prices and motels and eating and
you know what? That's a common. I hear that from all the racers that I interviewed this season. Is that that's one of the things that's putting us out. Is by the time you calculate all the diesel costs and all the fuel costs, and then to eat, it's all the little stuff.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, these things use up parts, valves, springs, and valves, and pistons and rods, but Dad does most of the work on the car, so I don't pay him anything, so that helps the budget a lot.
Thanks, Dad.
Yeah, exactly. And he's got actually in the back room a CNC machine and a mill. And a lathe,
cool.
And so he builds a lot of the stuff for us, too.
Really?
Uh-huh.
Wow, so you guys have pretty much capabilities to build pretty much whatever you're gonna need.
Well, yeah, I mean, not the bigger stuff, not the heads and the block and stuff, just because we had to take a 5-axis machine to do the heads and a bigger machine to do the block and stuff.
Yeah.
But some of the littler stuff, Dad builds like the brake handles and motor plates and this stuff like this, the actual steel motor plate that goes in the car. He builds stuff like that on his machine. And
wow.
Some of the plates that go in between the blower and manifold, the rear end plates, a lot of stuff like that, and pedals. So, which all that stuff adds up. So.
Oh, definitely. Wow, these plates must take a freaking beating. With the rear end right there.
I imagine they take a pretty good load, yeah. And the twist, it's amazing I haven't seen one break. I've heard of them cracking and stuff, but I've never seen one break. Yeah, the wheelie bars on some of the cars, ours don't have one, but the wheelie bars actually have a sensor in them so they can tell how hard they load the wheelie bar when they
really? Wow. Yeah, because they're really some cars are really getting on that bar
they'll
hard.
Tune on that, yeah. So if it hits it too hard, they'll know they either need more weight in the nose or change the clutch setting a little bit.
Yeah, what was really cool seeing was when they would leave hard on the bar, is the wheel on the bar would just tear the rubber right up off the track, and then leave a little like white strip.
What I have a clutch here. Yeah, the clutch discs. Let's see. This is just, you can look at this clutch. This is an older. The way the clutches work in these things are a centrifugal clutch. But you use, when you push the pedal in, it obviously holds it, pulls this apart so your clutch pack's loose so everything spins. And when you let the clutch out, these cars leave on static. They got springs in them, so the spring pressure actually hits it. They do have this is the pedal clutch. A centrifugal clutch would just have levers only and no springs. So they actually stage with the foot off the clutch pedal, like the A-fuel cars and top fuel cars don't even have the foot on the clutch pedal when they leave the starting line. As soon as you hit the throttle and the RPMs show the counterweight in. These things, you have to hold the clutch in when you stage, and as soon as you let the clutch out, the clutch pedal out, the levers, then it applies pressure.
And then the clutches come in stages?
No, not these. Our class, we cannot run a stage clutch. Top fuel, you can. And they're actually controlled by an air cylinder.
Cool.
Or on the actually back of the bell housing, and it releases slowly, so the fingers can stand up higher. The more they stand up, the more plate load they put on it. And we run 3 discs and 2 floaters in a pack on ours. The top fuel cars, the ones with that multi-stage clutch with the cannon on them, run 6 discs.
Wow.
And 5 floaters.
Wow.
So because they transfer so much heat. We have a transmission in our car, and that's actually laying right there on the ground. A 3-speed transmission.
And top fuel or not?
Run a direct drive. They're all operated off that clutch. So they can control it, they can control engine RPM by how fast they let the clutch out. Or how fast they activate.
Yeah, I've seen in the interviews after the run, sometimes the camera will go past the clutch and that thing is just red. Just red, man.
Yeah, they put out some heat.
Wow. So, I mean, this is definitely not a one-man show. I mean,
no. We do most of it. A lot of times we'll just have 3 people at the track, but that's okay if you don't have any problems. But if you have a problem, usually it's pretty good. Drag racing's pretty. I don't say there. A lot of good sportsmanship, I guess.
Yeah, I've noticed that.
To be, if
people helping each other.
Yeah, there's a lot of that going on. People helping out. So.
Yeah, definitely. There's a lot of that's with a lot of racing. You know, the people who are in it are, I mean, they're spending a lot of money. And they're not there, you know, because it's just a passing whim. They're there because, man, they live it.
Yeah.
And so when you have that shared type of deal, it's easy for people to get along. And it's conducive to, oh, you know, shit, I can use this. I'm done for the day anyway, or whatever. And so, yeah, it's a cool deal, man.
The motors probably make about 3,500 horsepower, maybe 3,000 to 3,500 horsepower. They're this one's 471 cubic inch, based off a Chrysler.
Oh.
The Hemi, obviously.
Mm-hmm. So would it be based off of the early Chrysler?
Yes.
Okay.
The 426 stuff.
Okay. Okay.
And then it's.
Or I meant like the 392.
No, I think the 392 is a little bit different from the 426 or so. I'm not real familiar with all that, the older stuff. I'm not that old. But the blower is a PSI supercharger, which is like a screw air compressor. It's the only size. You know, they make a couple different ones, but this is the only one we're allowed to run in this class.
Oh.
The PSI D.
Really?
Supercharger.
Is that just to keep racing even?
I don't know. It's just a rule NHRA came up with. I think it's to try to cut costs just so there isn't so many. But I don't know how well.
Or was it,
works.
hey, listen, guys, let me make you a deal?
Yeah. Probably. It spins, we can spin it 228% overdriven.
Whoa.
So actually, if you figure that, if the motor's spinning 10,000 RPM, the blower's going 22,000 RPM.
Wow.
They spin pretty fast. They make about 60 pounds of boost, probably 55 to 60 pounds of boost. So.
And are you limited on the size of the pulley you can run?
Yes, yeah, that it'll come out to two, you know, so it's 128 over is what they call it. But
Okay.
it's like 228% of the actual engine RPM.
Man, that's insane.
Yeah,
So what is that supercharger capable of making? I mean, if you could just run unlimited.
you know, I don't know if it's a whole bunch more. Once the blowers get up to a certain pressure and, you know, they start cavitating inside.
Oh.
So actually you're not always, and some of the blowers, like the older blowers, the higher you spun them didn't necessarily mean they work better. They could make a little bit more boost, but it could be hot air, it could be cavitating some and mess with your fuel and everything. So just because you spin them faster, actually I think they found out when the Pro Mod deals were going through the rule change, they slowed them down, the blowers became more efficient, they actually went quicker. They're trying to slow them down. I think there's another blower over here apart. You can kind of see what the inside's one.
Oh, cool. Wow, that is a freaking Hulk, man.
Yeah, we actually broke the other rotor. Wow. This is one that actually a bolt had went through.
Whoa, a bolt.
See where it went in here and it dinged up all that in. Actually, the other rotor we were able to fix because it was a different design. These rotors are actually made out of a whole bunch of separate plates. And what they do is, you know how you take a deck of cards and you can and they spin? They do the same thing with this. They're a whole bunch of different plates and they twist them like that and they're glued together. And you can kind of, if you look really close, you can kind of see the different segments in it.
Oh, okay.
See all the little different pieces? So they actually twist that out and they glue it together, and there's some screws I think that run through the center of it, or through this thing all bolts together and sandwiches it.
That is tricky.
And then so the other one is the other rotor, you know, sits inside of it. It's got like 6. I don't know, there's 4 and 6 on the lobes. Which there. So and the biggest thing about these blowers is they don't build hot air because they don't actually touch. They don't rub like a roots blower would.
With like the Teflon.
How it rubs the sides, it actually builds a hotter air. So the cooler air, actually, you can build more horsepower with it, and it doesn't take as much horsepower to turn it. Because these things you can actually spin over by hand. You know, when you first get them brand new, they'll rub enough where maybe you can't turn them by hand, but after a couple runs, you can usually just spin them over by hand. So it's free horsepower. It frees up, you know, maybe 400 or 500 horsepower just because you don't have to turn it.
Wow. And
all the air comes in the top, and the rotor's screwed to the outside. Then it all comes out this little pie.
Whoa! It all comes out of there.
Yep. Here's the actual back plate.
If we turn that around.
Under the slide. Now,
So it's all coming out of there.
I don't want to push it down onto the deals.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, all the air comes out of
Wow.
there. It compresses it all into the...
Wow, that's an impressive piece, man.
Yeah, they're pretty amazing what they'll do. But they're, I think a new one's $12,000 to $14,000 too.
Holy smokes. So is there a big market for used pieces?
Yeah, you could...
You get away with buying a used blower?
Yeah, probably.
And be competitive?
Maybe not as competitive, but they're all pretty good.
Uh-huh.
I think some of them are a little bit better than others.
Oh.
But you can run pretty good with you can be pretty competitive with an okay blower. I mean, there's bad blowers out there that you can send them back in and they'll recoat them, try to get them a little bit bigger to try to compress the air a little bit more. But I think there's a few out there that are better than others.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if you want, this is actually one of the Minor Brothers style motor. It's this is what we used to run before the Jim Whiteley deal. It was based off a Chevy motor, Chevy bottom end with it's kind of a Chevy bottom end with a Hemi top end.
Whoa.
You know, it's used to be Arius, then it was bought out by Fontana, then Bob Minor Brothers Racing now has a deal. Really good motor, but the deal we got with Jim Whiteley was a little too good to pass up, so we switched over for now.
And have you had a chance to run that thing yet?
We have a couple times. We went to Las Vegas. The first race with it, we qualified #1 and then smoked the tires second round. Then we went to Pomona and we qualified #2 with our career best to 525, and we smoked the tires second round again.
Dang.
Or no, smoked tires first round, but got lucky and won. Second round, we detuned it way too much, so we were still learning with it. So it was, it's more trial and error. Plus, we put a new clutch in the car last year.
Oh.
East-west clutches out of Carson City, Nevada. Bob and Randy Akins. They built the clutches. Actually, they've supplied the clutches for us the last, I don't know, 6-7 years.
Cool. And so, Vegas, was that where you almost
Dallas.
tipped over?
Dallas, we almost tipped over, yeah. Valve cover stud broke. I'm going to show you one on the car. They're a little bit different design now, but I'll go one on this side. The lower valve cover stud broke off here. Right at the block, so it just left an empty hole right there, and oil just happened to squirt out. I don't know if the valve cover might have lifted up a little bit. You can see a spray right before the car takes a hard left turn. You can see a spray of oil out this side, and just got on the tire and it shot to the left, and it ended up almost 400 feet. It was sliding on 2 wheels.
Holy.
So, and I got 3 cones, knocked 3 cones out with it. So.
Wow, man.
Yeah.
So that was...
It was a little bit... you know, the run itself wasn't that bad. Watching on video was way worse because it happened fast enough.
So it wasn't, I mean, how are you feeling afterwards?
Oh, it didn't crash, so it was okay.
And it didn't feel super violent, did it? I mean,
No, it actually, I don't remember the sharp move to the left, just because it happened so quick, but once it got up on 2 wheels, everything seemed to slow down, go into slow motion.
Yeah.
And I looked at the ground, it seemed like for quite a while, then I looked out at the front tires, and I was turning into it. I don't know how much I had to do with it. I think it was more luck than anything that it didn't tip over. But and then after I looked out at the front tires, I looked down track, and about that time it was just slowly sitting back up and just came back down pretty smooth. I mean, it bounced a little bit, but not much at all. So the car seemed to be fine. We actually took the body panels off and just looked everything over, and everything looked fine. We ran it again. It seemed to be no problems.
Wow. And so
it was only
it was more scary watching it on video.
Yeah,
you're like, holy.
Yeah. I said a couple words in the car after it sat down, like, what just happened?
Yeah.
So, but it was kind of confusing of what did happen on the run, just the way the car was on the center line up on 2 wheels. I was kind of wondering why it was there as it was going down. It's amazing how long or how much you can talk to yourself, how much you can actually say in a couple seconds.